But what's more important to me is that you have that information for yourself. You have that. You have that power and that information versus somebody taking that money from you when in all actuality, I'm not saying they should not charge you. I'm not saying that they should. Only thing that I'm telling you is here's the information for you that I guarantee you that they're using that they're going to charge you for. Welcome to the Success Fitness Podcast. I am your host, Christian Evans. This podcast is about improving our relationship with nutrition and exercise to achieve success in our fitness journey. And I'll help us do just that when I tell you the story of when I wanted to feel better about myself but had no clue on the first steps to get there. But first, a word from our sponsors. Did you achieve success in your fitness journey and want to share it with the world? Are you a health or fitness professional that can share your expertise to help those who haven't yet? If yes, then you could be my next guest on the Success Fitness Podcast. Click the link in my bio to sign up, then set up your profile. Once set up, book your slot. I hope to have you on my podcast soon. Are you hungry but only have 30 minutes to meal prep? Then download my new e-cookbook, What's a Meal Prep, at successfitnessstore.com. You will get 3 step-by-step written and visual recipes for one high-protein meal that's under 600 calories. I'll help you cook fresh salmon, steam fresh broccoli, and quinoa in under 30 minutes to help you stay on track of your fitness goals. So go to successfitnessstore.com to download your copy today. I want to feel better about myself, but what are the first steps? I have to stop eating horribly at night, especially if I'm not going to work it off. I know you can't outwork a bad diet, but if I don't come up with a plan to get this under control, the fat and weight will pile on. It's about 5:30 a.m., March 9th of 2021. According to my calendar, I have a decent day in the amount of clients I have scheduled. As I'm going over today's 3 clients scheduled, I smile thinking about what day it is. Every year on this date, I text my cousins in our group chat an iconic rap lyric to remember this day. It's my sophomore year in high school, March of 1998. I couldn't be more happier. We just moved back into the city to a 3-bedroom house with a full basement. We have so much space compared to where we were. That's just one of the many perks, but the one I'm most joyous about is going back to my high school. I never spent 3 entire school years at one school. Ever since the 2nd grade, I would always switch schools every 2 years. My mother was always looking for better places to live for her and her boys. This is the best conclusion I could come up with to justify those moves. To be frankly honest, it never bothered me until my freshman year in high school. Freshman year, I began at Peoria High School, aka Central, but halfway through, we moved to a newly developed apartment complex in the outskirts of the city. This move isn't anything new until I get to Dunlap High School, where I have a culture shock. There are only 9 people who look like me. I am not comfortable in this environment at all. One day, I'm in class drifting off while the teacher is talking, so I began to doodle on the back of my notebook. This notebook is where we are to take notes of the current lecture, but I could care less. I miss my friends at Central. I hate it here. At the end of class, we are required to turn our notebooks in to the teacher so they can grade our notes. The next day, I am called into the principal's office for what I will forever remember as my wake-up call to where I am. The principal asked if I was gang affiliated because of the drawings on my notebook. Apparently, my teacher turned this in to him with that question in mind. Being the only black kid in the class at the time, I felt targeted. The drawings were multiple 5-point stars. No gang signs, letters, or symbols, just stars. There are 5-point stars in the American flag, but I'm getting questioned for possible gang affiliation? After rejecting this claim, I knew it was time to go. Later that day, I told my mother of what happened. I let her know if we don't move, then I'm dropping out of high school. I hate it here. I'm highly frustrated. I feel there's no way out of this hellhole. I can't change this situation, so I turned to food and music to ease my mind. Music was my escape. I used it to keep connected on what was going on with my friends that I left at Central. The battle is the essence of hip hop culture. Right as we moved back into the city, cannabis was in a battle with LL Cool J. The lyric that I share yearly with my cousins is from this battle, specifically cannabis. The greatest rapper of all time died on March 9th. That line hit so hard. Just 1 year prior, March 9th of 1997, Christopher Wallace, aka the Notorious B.I.G., was murdered. Some believe he is the greatest rapper of all time. After sending my cousins that text, I look into my calendar to see my first client is at 8 a.m. It's about 5:30 a.m. and if I can get my life together, I can get a workout and shower in before my first client. I've been up since about 5 a.m. and I'm feeling sluggish. My stomach is protruding out as I look at myself in the living room's mirror. I'm thinking, you gotta do better. I'm looking at myself in disappointment. I make my way to the freezer to pull out the gallon of water from the night before. This is the routine I have been doing every morning before I start my coffee. In order to get my 1 gallon of water in for the day, I like it cold. So this has to thaw out before I can take my first sip. But as the day progresses, there will be more water to drink from. I need water now to begin flushing my system from the night before. This is starting to become a pattern. I'm so full from the night before from eating so late. When I do eat late, it isn't the best of choices, I'll admit. I try not to eat during the day to prevent sluggish performance. I prefer not to feel like that while training clients. When my day is finished, I feel I can relax and enjoy my food. It's too much food, which is the issue. Too much food in my dictionary is defined in calories and volume. As I pulled this frozen plastic water jug from the freezer, I realized this isn't the healthiest way for me to live. I have to stop eating horribly at night, especially if I'm not going to work it off. I know you can't outwork a bad diet, but if I don't come up with a plan to get this under control, the fat and weight will pile on. In my line of work, how you look is important. I see the difference in sales when I'm not confident in how I look. I haven't been confident in how I looked since 2017, and I have no one to blame but me. This eating horribly at night is the main culprit. I've gotten too lazy. Too much access to excess with the personality I have doesn't mix well, so here we are. How am I going to change? Where do I start? I'm sitting at the dining room table sipping coffee, reflecting on how to get my life together. It's still dark outside, the blinds and the windows are closed, and the bluish gray walls are magnifying this depressing mood. This coffee hasn't kicked in yet, but if I turn on some light, it could help my mood. I turn the lights on in attempts to snap out this morning funk. Lights on, coffee in one hand and my phone in the other, scrolling. I open the Safari app to Google, how many calories do I need to lose weight? This article from healthline.com populates, and after scrolling through it, I bookmark it. It gives me suggestions on how to determine my daily caloric intake, the definition of a calorie, and a calorie counter calculator. I entered my gender, age, weight, and height, and current physical activity. When I submit the info, it gives me an estimated daily caloric intake. This gives me hope, as it's the first steps to feeling better. I have the information needed to formulate a plan to get my life together. You can't outwork a bad diet, but if you have the information to make better choices, then make better choices. This information can give you a fighting chance when you don't know where to start. You can start to create better habits that will help you overcome those times when you want to feel better about yourself. Even I have those days where I'm not feeling myself. I'm not as confident. I'm not thinking about how to improve. You know, you get in these funks to where you believe that's just the way things are, and what's the purpose? And you also have those days where you're going through everything I just mentioned, and then something snaps in you, and you say, you know what? I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna try to do better. But what are the first steps? Use Google. They have gotten this algorithm and this search down so much to where you can type in a sentence and put a question mark at the end of it, or you can just leave the sentence as is. And you hit enter, and then you will be amazed at how many articles, videos, or images pops up that has something to do with the sentence. that you wrote, something to do with the question that you wrote. And in my case, when I Googled how many calories do I need to lose weight, that article came up. I'm not sponsored by them at all, but I wanted to share a tool that I use and I use for my clients just as well when they have to find how many calories they need daily, or something that we come up with, and I guide them to that website. And I keep it in my bookmarks because I have to go through it. I have to go through it. I use it myself, and any new client that I acquire from here on out, I reference that to them. One of the biggest requests that I get as a personal trainer is, I want a meal plan. I want a meal plan. Now, I'm more about empowering my clients to where you can do it yourself. I don't want you to depend on me to do something that you can do, right? What I see online from other trainers or other people who say that, hey, I can make you a meal plan, I'm gonna charge you X amount of dollars for it. I'm not hating on them or their process at all. It's just, it ain't that deep. You can go to this website that I will have in my show notes. You can go to this website and you can come up with your daily caloric intake. You're not so much coming up with it. This will spew the information out, those daily caloric calories, after you submit your information. And from there, you can devise your very own meal plan, because what's more important than your meal plan is how many calories that you're supposed to take into the meal plan. From that point of knowing how many calories you are supposed to intake, then the person, whoever somebody is paying to make a meal plan for them, is just going to just put your, likes or dislikes into a program somewhere, and then it come up with a couple meals for you to eat every day or every week, whatever the case may be. But what's more important to me is that you have that information for yourself. You have that. You have that power and that information versus somebody taking that money from you, when in all actuality, I'm not saying they should not charge you. I'm not saying that they should. Only thing that I'm telling you is, here's the information for you that I guarantee you that they're using, that they're going to charge you for. And what's most important is your daily caloric intake. So once I had that information, then I felt empowered. I felt better about myself. I felt better about going forward with helping other people. That I had this website that, as easy as 1, 2, 3. All you got to do is put your information in. And again, I'm not sponsored, and I'm not being paid or endorsed, by this. I like to share information. I've been sharing information with you and my crowd and clients since I first got on the internet. Promoting myself and my website and my services since 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. So those of you have been around, and since then, Christian gives out hella information, a whole bunch of information, and I don't ask anything, for it. I do have certain things that require payment, but this information right here, is not one of them. But getting back to trying to feel better, is that I was getting to this bad habit of eating at night, and it would just be so calorie dense, and I would just lay there, just watch TV, probably fall asleep, and not even getting up to at least walk on the treadmill. The access to excess. I have access to a treadmill and a stationary bike. I have an entire gym in my home. So why am I not taking advantage of it? It seems like I did better when I had less. I was working out with 2 25-pound iron dumbbells and a ab ball or physio ball, whatever you want to call it, and got amazing results. Now, true enough, I was still going to the gym and eating right, but it was the fact that, I didn't have all the fancy stuff that I have right now. And I was in better shape. So it's just trying to get myself back into that mode of thinking. But, just looking at myself in the mirror that morning, I'm like, this ain't what's up. I have those days. I have those days where I'm not feeling as confident, not feeling as strong. And it's challenging to overcome it. It is challenging. And hopefully this is something that you can relate to. But the most important thing is about getting back. It's about what's your bounce back? What steps do you need to take? And sometimes the first step is just Googling what you're feeling at the time. And from there, you can go down that rabbit hole of information that is possibly provided for you. And it can provide you some resources to help you out. So don't feel that there's no hope or, you're hopeless. You can be hopeless, at the moment. But what is that feeling going to do for you? Are you going to bounce back? Do you want to bounce back? That's the thing. You have to have the desire to bounce back too. Some may not want to bounce back. Some may want to sit there and wallow in sorrow and tears, but that ain't gonna get you nowhere. You have to get up and live your life, the life that you are blessed with, and there are tough times, but we gotta keep going. We gotta keep going, and I gotta keep going, even though there are days and times where I don't feel like it. This is what people pay me for one way or another, to be their encourager. But what happens when the encourager needs encouragement? What happens when the encourager is lost? What happens when the leader is lost? What happens when their map is gone? And that adds additional pressure. But what happens is we still got a place to go. We got a place to get to. And that's when you start asking for help. So even the navigator, the leader, part of being a leader is the ability to ask for help and the ability to take on more information that you didn't know at the time to help you get to your destination. So if anything, I would like for you to get out of this podcast is that don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help. You have all the information and the tools you need in the palm of your hand. Use Google. And I'm not endorsed by them either. I wish I was. But if you found inspiration in today's podcast and would like to support, then sign up to my weekly newsletter, the Success Fitness Newsletter, to get 10% off my new e-cookbook, What to Meal Prep for Beginners, when you click the link in my show notes. It includes 3 recipes for one high-protein meal under 600 calories, step-by-step written instructions, video tutorials, and a free workout ebook. The link will be in the show notes as well. And this brings us to the end of another episode of the Success Fitness Podcast. Thank you for listening, and remember this: when the pressures of life begin to weigh on you, the mentality of more weight must set in. The only thing that situation can do is make you stronger. If any situation is not making you stronger, simply chant more weight, more weight, more weight. # more weight. Peace out.